An unusually strong December storm is about to cause problems for a huge chunk of the U.S. From severe weather and tornadoes to flooding rains and even full-on blizzards, it's safe to say this massive storm will be packing a punch as it sets forth an extreme weather pattern as we go into next week. Let me show you where this thing is right now. As you can see, this bad boy is all the way out here near the Aleutian Islands, south of Alaska. I feel like normally it being so far away would be a relieving factor, but in this case, this only gives the storm more time to ramp up before it gets here. And this system is going to do nothing but intensify on its way down to the lower 48. Watch the jet stream here as a big bowling ball trough forms and works its way onto the west coast. This is going to bring a massive dumping of not inches but feet of snow to the mountain west, as it's pretty much going to send a river of Pacific moisture over the ranges through Saturday. And this piece of energy is just going to get stronger as it crosses the Rocky Mountains through Monday. And you might be asking, Ryan, the mountains are made of ground. How do ground make weather bad? Well, let me tell you, as this spinny boy traverses over the mountains, the air is going to get squished between the mountains and the top of the atmosphere. And since it's the same amount of air, as it gets squished, it spreads out like a pancake. And this actually makes it spin slower. Think of a figure skater. You know, when they do that thing where they impersonate a tornado, they extend their arms out to slow down and then tuck them in to speed back up. And like a figure skater, when the storm gets over the mountains, it's technically spreading its arms out. So if it can figure out how to tuck them back in, it will start spinning faster and stronger. And that's exactly what's going to happen after this thing gets over the Rocky Mountains and onto the flat Great Plains. The counterclockwise motion and extreme energy levels associated with this storm will pull up an intense amount of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. And believe it or not, this is actually going to lead to a pretty significant severe weather outbreak down here in the south central US. In fact, it'll be a multi-day situation, and myself and a lot of other meteorologists are concerned about this. I've been getting a lot of comments here recently from people asking, Ryan, how's it possible for us to get severe weather in December? That doesn't make sense. And my answer to those people is the same every time. The weather don't daggone care about the calendar or what month it is. The only thing that matters is whether or not the correct ingredients are in place. It's just like birthday cake, okay? Maybe it's not my birthday, but the ingredients are in my kitchen, so I can and probably will make a cake. I mean, this storm's going to be happening almost exactly 1 year after the historic December tornado outbreaks in the Midwest. So while this is uncommon, it's not unheard of. So we have to take this just as seriously as if this was a big severe weather outbreak that was getting ready to happen in the middle of traditional tornado season. Because early next week, instead of cake, we're going to be having severe weather in places like East Texas, Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. All this crazy energy associated with the storm is going to pull up the atmosphere from over the Gulf of Mexico and kind of loft it onto this region, and the warmth and moisture in the air will make it feel like a nice early October day rather than a mid-December day, and that's one of the reasons why we think severe weather is pretty likely on Monday and Tuesday. Another reason is this massive mid-level wind field. Just above the surface, like a giant hurricane in the sky, winds will be roaring between 50 and 80 miles per hour. These strong winds, especially the ones down here carrying the moisture inland, will orient themselves in such a way that wind shear will be present. That wind shear is going to allow thunderstorms to start growing, and they're going to get really tall, allowing for them to produce hail, damaging winds, and yes, even tornadoes. And if for whatever reason you don't trust my word on this, I'm not the only one saying it. A group of the best meteorologists on Earth, known as the Storm Prediction Center, have also been sounding the alarm over this for the past several days. Their latest outlook shows a day 5 15% risk on Monday for portions of Oklahoma and Texas, and then a very rare day 6 30% risk in Arkansas and Louisiana on Tuesday. It's really not often that we see this level of confidence from the SPC, so that just tells me that we're probably looking at the real deal here. But despite all this, it's important to remember that we are still several days away, so anything can happen. The risk areas can shift locations, they can become less serious, or a multitude of other things. Don't be scared, be prepared, and of course, as new information comes in, I'm going to be giving it to you. Now, even though we may have a big severe weather outbreak on our hands next week, that's actually a small part of the overall storm. This massive trough will be carrying cold air with it, and all the moisture from the south will be flying into that cold air. And with the help of our deepening low pressure system, this will lead to a full-on blizzard across portions of the northern plains. Heavy snow plus 30 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts will lead to blowing snow and blizzard conditions for a lot of South Dakota and Nebraska. Like the severe weather situation though, a lot can change between now and when this actually happens, so the heaviest axis of snow and where the biggest wind gusts are going to happen, that's going to change a little bit before we get to the actual event. But look at this, as of right now, it looks like a very large area will receive over 8 inches of snow, and some places might even approach 2 feet in South Dakota. Now, let me show you the full progression of this thing as it continues off to the east. It's not just going to stop west of the Mississippi River, it's going to keep chugging. On Tuesday into Wednesday, the severe weather threat will progress to the east east and the snow will start to expand into Canada. As of right now, the severe weather threat on Wednesday looks a little bit lesser than what we're seeing on Tuesday and Monday, but things can change, and that's just a little bit too far out for me to talk about a lot right now. But of course, if it looks like it's going to be a big severe weather outbreak in Tennessee, in the Deep South, or even in the Ohio Valley, I'm going to update you here. But by the time this big, massive cold front makes it to the Appalachian Mountain region, it's mostly going to be a big, rainy windbag. The severe weather and tornado threat will be subdued, but the soaking and flooding rains will be a new concern as this thing envelops the entire East Coast on Thursday into Friday. And notice that snow in the interior Northeast. This won't be a blizzard, but certainly a good chance for some accumulation in the northern Appalachian region next weekend. As the storm finally gets out of our hair, it's going to set itself up in such a way that allows for another lake effect and lake enhanced snow event, and some of that action may make it all the way down to the Smoky Mountains. And that's not all. This is an action-packed weather video, son. In my last video, we talked about Christmas and whether or not we're going to see a white Christmas, and if you haven't watched that video, it's a good one, go watch it. But I talked about how after this big storm passes by, it's going to leave behind a cold air mass behind it, and that's going to determine what happens with the next storm. And the next storm will be affecting our weather on Christmas week, possibly even into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Right now, we don't know how far south this cold air is going to go, but we do know there is going to be a storm, and its path is going to be greatly determined by how far south that cold air goes. If the cold air is allowed to sink really far south, like let's say down towards the Gulf of Mexico, that storm's going to ride that boundary farther south, and it's going to bring snow to the East Coast. But if the cold air doesn't make it down that far, the storm will be allowed to go farther north and bring mostly rain to the East Coast. But either way, there's going to be a storm, and somebody's going to see snow. This also has the potential to cause some really detrimental effects on travel, as the bulk of the action looks to happen before Christmas Eve. Speaking of Christmas, I've got the perfect gift idea for your loved one that is a weather weenie or a weather nerd. In fact, I've got a couple. I'm sure they would love one of these awesome Yalameter snow measuring sticks, or a top-of-the-line NOAA weather radio, or this brand new exclusive Twister tree merch. This is a Christmas tree tornado. What weather nerd would not want to rock this during the holidays? All these things and much more can be found on my website, shopryanhall.com, and if you go there right now or between now and the next 72 hours, if you use the discount code CAKE at checkout, you're going to get 10% off your entire order. Seriously, the whole website, everything in your cart, 10% off. This is one of the bigger sales we've ever done. But you deserve it because you made it to the end of this video, and that makes you a real MVP. All right, huge shout out to all of our members over here. Thank you guys so much for being such an instrumental part of the channel. Guys, this is going to get serious, okay? We're going to eventually do a live stream. We might have multiple days of live streaming here, but in the meantime, I'm going to post short-term updates on the extra channel, Ryan Hall Y'all Extra. I will have another main channel video on this channel before the live stream if it's needed. As of now, I'm going to start doing daily updates on the extra channel, so make sure you subscribe to both, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.